Today at Signagelive, we announced our Signagelive and Zapier integration. Now, I'm not going to go into the fine details of how that works, but there is a video over on signagelive.com/Zapier. If you head to there, you can see the video that I made explaining all the different ways that you could make use of Signagelive and Zapier. But long story short, it allows you to take data from your Signagelive network that's unique to your Signagelive network and put that wherever you want. You can create automations within Zapier, or Zaps, that can do a huge host of things. Through our Zapier integration, there are two data sets available. You have proof of play data, which is all concerning your assets and your content performance, and then you have webhooks, and that will give you data that is specific to your Signagelive network, such as when content downloads, when a publication is made, when a player checks in, and so on. And like I say, there's a video over on our website that shows you all of the fine details of how you might want to use this. But I thought today I'd show you how I'm using it right now, because I've been making use of this for a few months now, and I just thought I'd show you it in action. So if I jump over to my full screen now, and here I am in my Signagelive network, and if you've ever tuned into Signagelive Explored, you'll probably be familiar with this network. This is the network for the room that I am in at the moment. We have a whole host of Signagelive players in this room, and all of them are connected here in Signagelive. And what I'm doing within Zapier is pulling data from this Signagelive network and from my players relating to this network, and I'm feeding them into Zapier. From there, I'm doing a couple of things. I am building a database within Airtable, and I'm also using this to send proactive monitoring alerts to a Slack channel. So how does that work? Let me show you. So today I'm predominantly using webhooks from Signagelive. You can access webhooks by heading to settings and then webhooks down here. Now note, you won't see this unless you have this available on your Signagelive network. So if you don't see that, you probably don't have it on your network. If that is the case, get in touch with our support team and we can get that enabled for you. So here on the left, you can see all of the different webhooks that I have available for this Signagelive network. Note that I have unticked player activity. We have definitions for each of these on our help center, but this is essentially the data that I'm pulling into Airtable using the Zapier integration. Now, upon enabling the Zapier integration and connecting it with webhooks, this URL that you see at the top here is auto-populated. So Zapier does all that for us. Once you make that connection, the Zapier app is going to populate this URL here, and it's going to enable webhooks for you. Again, there'll be a tutorial on how to actually do that on our help center. But if I jump over to Zapier now, you can see that I have split my Zap into multiple paths. Each of these paths do something different, so I'm going to talk you through what's going on here now. So step one is the webhook notification. So whenever Signagelive sends a webhook into Zapier, it's triggering this Zap that we've created, this workflow that we've created. So whenever a webhook notification comes from Signagelive from any of the chosen events that we saw on that first screen, we are then going to trigger this workflow. Now note that I unticked player activity, and there was a reason I did that. The reason I did that was because player activity will log a new piece of data every time a player checks in. Now bear in mind, I've got 9+ players in this room, so every time these were logging a content check, I would have been getting data in here, and my Zap will be working overtime, which it could handle, but my Airtable document would be humongous. So I've done away with the player activity for this particular instance. So the webhook data comes in, and then we split this into a path. So we've got 3 different things going on here. So if I go into path 1, I'm going to go into my path conditions, and as you can see, here I'm filtering if the event type is player activity. Now, note that I unticked that in the first step, so that's not actually doing anything right now, and that's why we're getting this particular error here. Your path would not have continued for this test data, and that's because we're not getting any player activity data in my Zap. So I'm actually only using paths B and C right now, but let's take a look at this. So path B, I'm doing the opposite of what we were doing in that first path, and I'm actually filtering by any event that doesn't match player activity. So that means that any webhook that isn't player activity is going to continue into the next part of this path, which is Airtable. Now I've connected this with an Airtable workbook, and I'll jump over to that now for you, and you can see that my players are logging data. So these are all the players on my network, and you can see this is a proactive monitoring alert. So if this isn't connecting to my Signagelive network, it is letting me know. If we go down further, you can see we've got some license activity here. That may have been me activating or deactivating a license. Scroll down further, we've got some publish refinement requests. So that means if I'm making any changes to a particular player or a particular piece of content on a player. And essentially I'm collecting all of this data in this database. I'm mainly doing this so that I can understand this data and take a look at it and see what's going on with this Signagelive network. You can see we've got another one here for this player is connecting successfully. Jumping back to Zapier once more, I'm going to show you the other part of this path. So path B is essentially collecting all that data and throwing it into a spreadsheet. I could, if I wanted to, put an additional step here and then I could continue my automation and do something with that table. But at the moment, all I'm doing is collecting that data just so I've got it stored in a place. I can review that and do what I want with it. At the moment, I'm not doing anything though. However, when we go to path C here, this is where this gets interesting. What I'm now doing is I'm filtering every event that matches proactive monitoring. And I'm doing this so that I can feed all of those proactive monitoring alerts into a Slack channel, meaning that if a player in this room stops connecting or it reconnects after losing connection, I will get notified within Slack. Moving on to step 3 here now. So you can see I've set up a bespoke channel for my proactive monitoring alerts here. And whenever we get any webhook data that matches proactive monitoring, it's going to feed it into this path, into this Slack automation. And I've customized this message here. So it's using a few different data sets here. So this is just text that I've typed in here. I've put proactive monitoring, player, and then I'm using the player serial number, and I've tried to use the player ID. Now, at the moment, we don't currently collect the player ID, so if you do happen to follow what I'm doing here today and you try and configure the same thing, you might find that you won't get that player name data. That's coming in the future. But as well as this, what I'm also throwing into that Slack message is the status, so that will tell me, is it connecting? Has it stopped connecting? And I'm throwing in the event time, which now takes us over to Slack. So here you can see the channel that I've set up, Signagelive HQ PAM. That is my channel that is throwing in all of my proactive monitoring alerts. And as you can see, it's actively collecting these alerts. We got one at 5:15, which was actually right now. So we've got a player in this room that has stopped connecting for some reason. So now I know that player 119044 is no longer connecting to Signagelive and therefore will not be able to get any content changes as of X. And that is the time that this event took place. Now I'm obviously going to go off and I'm going to go and check why that's happened. But you can see that I've got other data in here, which is telling me when players are connecting. So you can see when a player successfully connects, I get an automated message sent into this channel, letting me know that that's happening. So that's all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed this video. Like I say, go and make use of the Signagelive and Zapier integration today. Head to signagelive.com/Zapier to learn more. There are some modules that you will need enabled on your Signagelive network, and you will need a Zapier account as well, ideally a premium account. There's more details on the URL on screen, but let me know if you have any questions about this. The world really is your oyster when it comes to automating with Zapier and Signagelive, so there are tons of content that I'm going to make around this. Anyways, happy automating, and I'll see you on the next one.